Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast, and I always like to surprise my subscribers with unexpected content, like this 1/18 scale AUTOart that I will be reviewing today. Because after some diecast planes and 1/43 scale cars, you deserve something big, right? And that's because a few days ago I managed to buy this fully opening AUTOart for €80. And inside the box is a McLaren 570S. And prices for these on eBay are all over the place, from $160 all the way to beyond $300 from a few crazy people in Japan. But yeah, $240, $220, $180, all over the place. So I'm happy I got it for €80, which is about $80 these days. There usually aren't many offers like this. It only happens maybe once or twice a year for a few weeks. And over the past couple of years, I just remember the fully opening McLaren MP412C, the Jaguar F-Type, and the Lamborghini Huracan being available for such prices. There's a couple other 118 AUTOarts you can buy for this price, but only the doors open on them, while on this one, everything opens. Now, this is also my first composite model. The AUTOarts I have presented on my channel in the past have all been diecast. So let's get this out of the box. Alright guys, and here it is. Wow. This looks really cool. Now there's something else on the box. You get like this little flap here. And if we open this up, we have here the engine cover. So we're going to take that and we're going to put it onto the engine, like so. And then we also get this, a little AUTOart key. Now these keys look cool, but are a little large and unwieldy compared to the thin ones you get from Welly that are better suited to opening doors and such. But it's still nice to have at least one of these in your collection. Here it is. Look at that. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay. And now, let's get on with the review of this beauty. Now, unlike the McLaren MP412C, this is not an AUTOarts signature, which means that you will also not get the certificate of authenticity. But it's interesting because the MP412C isn't a whole lot more detailed than this, but for some reason that was a signature and this isn't. Anyhow, let's talk about the car. The McLaren 570S was made for 6 years, from 2015 to 2021. Now, some people think the 570S is the entry-level McLaren, but it's not. It's part of a line of cars that are entry-level McLarens, but the weakest variant is the McLaren 540C, which is about 15,000 euros cheaper and has a bit less performance. The 570S has a price tag of 185,000 euros and is therefore in the same range as a Lamborghini Huracan and cheaper than both the Ferrari 488 and even the Portofino. Now, what did I mean by line of cars? Well, the 540S looks very similar to the 570S, and then there's also a roadster version of this called the 570S Spider. We also have a 570 GT that came out 1 year later in 2016, along with a track-only 570S GT4, and even the 600 LT, which came out along with the 600 LT Spider in 2018, doesn't look a whole lot different to this car. Just like the 620R, which came out in late 2019, which is like the ultimate road-going version of this lineup. The 650S and the 675 LT, on the other hand, have the back end of the MP412C and the front end more akin to the P1, so they're different and easier to tell apart from this line of cars here. Now, AUTOart made this car in several different colors. Apart from this orange with a two-tone interior, there's a white with the exact same two-tone interior. There's a light green with a full black interior, and an anthracite gray with brown interior. The orange and gray have silver wheels, while the white and green have black wheels. So taking a look at the front of the McLaren 570S, I think that the front is quite similar to the McLaren P1, but it is not as similar to it as the 650S and the 675 LT are. Instead, these headlights have a certain design and shape of their own, which makes the entire 570 and similar line of cars different from the main flagship in terms of design. And if we actually take a closer look at these headlights, you can see that there are 10 individual daytime running lamps, and separating them into 2 rows of 5 is another LED bar. Now, the real 570S has another crescent-shaped LED strip at the top of the headlight that, however, AUTOart for some reason did not implement, but the way cheaper Solido actually did on their 600 LT. So from afar, the Solido headlight looks better than the AUTOarts, but I suppose the AUTOarts is more accurate to the real car when the headlights aren't turned on. And down here we have the front grills, although these are not perforated on a 1/18 scale AUTOart, which is really weird. In the middle we get the McLaren badge, and this is a photo-etched 3-dimensional sticker, which also looks nice. The windshield wipers look decent, I'd say. And now, let's check out the trunk. So the front trunk is actually quite roomy for a car of this size. You can see that it actually has like that lip. And then we have an air vent in here, and this is even perforated. And you can see that we have carpeting in here, which looks really nice. So that's cool. And then here we have a fire extinguisher, although I would have wished for it to have some kind of labeling because it's just a red piece of plastic. And then here we have the hinges, which are nice and thin. So enough room to put some luggage, I'd say. Close it up. The paint quality is great. There's barely any orange peel. And it's just like very smooth and nice. However, because the model is not made out of diecast, but rather out of composite, which is a fancy word for plastic, I think it scratches more easily, also due to the thin coat of paint and even thinner clear coat compared to, say, a Burago or Maisto. These scratches above the passenger side headlight are annoying, but at least there aren't any above the driver's side headlight, and the scratches can really only be seen under direct light and are otherwise almost invisible, so I decided to keep the model and not send it back. Besides, I think some car wax could fix this issue. And here's a look at the side of the McLaren 570S, and I think that it looks just absolutely awesome. You can see that we have the side air intake here, which is like a huge design element. It actually starts off as the indicator on the front of the wheel well, and then moves along symmetrically to become this huge NACA duct type of air intake. And inside we have a grille. Regarding the outside texture though, this is not carbon fiber. Now I'm not sure if the carbon fiber is an option on the real 570S or if all 570Ss have carbon fiber and AUTOart just decided to cheap out here. I don't know, but I would have wished for it to have been carbon fiber. Maybe that's one of the reasons why this car was cheap? I don't know. And now taking a look at the rims. One of the main reasons why I bought this car was because of the silver wheels. Now, a lot of people loved blacked out wheels, but I actually prefer silver ones because you get to see the spoke design a lot better, and it contrasts with the rest of the car. The brake discs are perforated and they move through the caliper as they should, and these are orange calipers and they have McLaren written on them. And then over here on the side it actually says 570S, which is really cool. And of course in the middle of the rim you have the McLaren logo as well, surrounded by 5 lug nuts. The mirrors are decent. They have a little black triangle and then decent reflectors. And taking a look at the back of the McLaren 570S, the back is perhaps even more interesting and unique looking than the front of the car because this design is just only very loosely based on the P1 and has its own looks, I'd say. We have the 570S license plate at the back, and on top of it, another photo-etched McLaren logo. And in between, you can actually see parts of the engine through these gaps, which I think is really cool, like both on top of the 570S license plate as well as on the bottom. And then flanking them on either side are silver-tipped exhausts, which look really cool, compared to if they had been matte black. Regarding the taillights, they are sort of disappointing because, I mean, it would have been cool if AUTOart had used a red plastic to make them stand out a little more, but they're transparent. I suppose it's more like the real car's taillights look when they're turned off, but yeah. For that, we do get red brake lights, which are also separate pieces rather than just being painted on or something. AUTOart has also provided us with actual perforated grille mesh underneath these McLaren logo shaped taillights, so that's also nice. Also under the flash you can actually see that the texture used for the taillights is pretty cool looking. It's like the sort of reflective material that you may find on a vest that you wear on the highway. Like one of those yellow vests. Pretty cool. And at the very bottom we of course have the rear diffuser with the diffuser blades. And now moving further up, we come to the engine. The part of the car that I'm looking forward to showing you, because this engine cover right here is fully removable. But before we do that, let's take a look at the actual cover itself. You can see that it actually is made out of a grille mesh, perforated so you can see the engine through it. And the cover itself is made out of that same weird sparkly sort of black material instead of carbon fiber. I'm not sure if it's like that on the real car or not. What I also thought was really weird was that if you look at this engine cover from this angle, you can see that there's actually pretty noticeable gaps right there between the cover and the car body. Like, look at that. Look at that. You don't see this on pictures online because they just sort of show it from this angle. But if you look at it from this angle, that's where you will actually see it. And I thought that my cover was bent. I thought that because this is made out of plastic, it has that little flex to it, as you can see. So I literally thought that this was supposed to be like that and not like that. But then I checked some pictures online, and the cars there have the exact same gap between the engine cover and the rest of the car body as mine does. So I think it's supposed to be this way, at least on the AUTOart model, and not maybe not on the real car, but on all AUTOart models. Anyhow, it makes it easier to just like grab it and remove it because you actually have like magnets here, 3 that attach it to the engine. And now if we take a closer look at this engine, you can see that the heat shielding looks really nice. It's got a nice texture on it, and then we have some cables down there. And the bay itself is in matte silver. And the McLaren engine looks really nice. I like the intake hoses and everything. Now the 570S came out after the P1 and the 650S. And the engine is the same 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8, but this time delivering 570 horsepower, hence 570S, and it has a top speed of 328 kilometers per hour, and 0 to 100 kph acceleration is achievable in 3.2 seconds. So that's not bad. And then if you look closely, you can actually see that the window actually has rear defrosting lines on it, which I think was a nice little extra touch. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's put the cover back up on it. Now, considering that the McLaren 570S is in the exact same price range as a Lamborghini Huracan, unlike the Huracan where the doors only open outward because the Lamborghini scissor doors are reserved for their flagship V12, the doors on the entry-level McLaren line open up just like the expensive ones. I suppose one advantage of composite models is that the doors are much lighter than diecast, so you won't have a problem keeping them in the open position compared to diecast. A lot of the old AUTOarts, especially when it came to the hoods and trunks, would suffer from not being able to stay open after a few years, so the new composite AUTOarts won't have that problem. And you can see that they are on these hinges, which are like super fragile, so they might break if you do this too often, so I wouldn't open the doors too often if I were you. But considering that they are plastic, they're quite light, so yeah, you can see that there's a magnet here to help keep it secured to the car. And if we look at the interior, they have this nice two-tone, which I was talking about earlier when I said that the mint green one is missing this. Also, they have like this little silver part here for like the door controls. So now let's take a look at the interior of the McLaren 570S. So one of the reasons why I went for the orange 570S is because the green had a full black interior, which I wish was two-tone black and green, but sadly it wasn't, while this orange one has the two-tone, which I think adds a lot to the details of this model. So over here we have the air vents. I think they're done nicely. And then we have like that little outline for the airbag, which I think also looks really cool. The materials used in the interior is actually really amazing. If we look at the center console, you can see that there's some carbon fiber in between, and we have like 2 more vents up there, and then down there we have like a whole bunch of buttons. And the buttons even have, or at least the start button I think, has the McLaren symbol, which I think is really cool. The LCD screen in the middle also has something written on it. I can't really tell what that is. Maybe you can. And down there we have another panel which shows you the controls of the drive controls, I suppose. And it also has a carbon fiber surround. And you can see it says drive, neutral, reverse. And now taking a look at the seats, but before we do, you can also see that we have full carpeting in here, which is also nice. The seats are kind of hard to see because of these doors getting in the way, but I think that they're done well. And in the middle we have like the red belt buckle and that little compartment in the middle. So overall the textures used inside is amazing, and then the roof liner is maybe a little simple, but gets the job done, I think. And here's a better look at the seats through the front and the side panels of the car. I think you can get a better idea now. They look nice as well. Although the seat belts, I think, are made out of plastic. No, I don't know. It's really hard to tell. Anyway, also right here you can see another grille, like in between. So taking a look at the driver's side of the McLaren 570S, you can see that the steering wheel is shaped nicely. It has the McLaren logo in the middle, and even a silver trim around it, which looks really nice. Behind it we have the digital gauge cluster with N for neutral. Another air vent here to the left. Down there we've got the floor pedals. Under the flash you can even see more details on the instrument panel. It's got a bunch of numbers written on it. So that's nice. And then here you can see the texture of the carbon fiber a little bit better. And the carpeting, of course. You can see that AUTOart also modeled the turn signal stock and the windshield wiper stocks behind the steering wheel, although on the real McLaren 570S they actually have tiny holes in them, which AUTOart did not replicate, just like also not writing anything on them. However, the spokes of the steering wheel do have holes, so that's at least accurate. And then if you look closely, like right there, it says 570S, which is really cool. So yeah, I mean, this is overall a pretty nice interior, and that was one of the main reasons why I actually went for the orange one. Seat belts, you can also see here, and the door from the other side. Pretty cool. And now taking a look at the bottom of the car, you can see that the bottom is actually pretty flat. I mean, there's really nothing defining anything here. It is made out of carbon fiber. It says AUTOart here, 118 McLaren 570S, crafted in China, and that's about it. So I hope you guys liked the review of my first composite fully opening AUTOart model on this channel. Like I said, the detail level is just as good as on the older diecast AUTOarts. The car is lighter, but not too light. It does have some weight to it, and it looks great. If you're interested in more McLaren reviews, you'll find them here. And as always, take care, have a wonderful day, and this is Imperial Diecast, signing out.